you to know.
Originally, it was just me, actually, in my old apartment in Greenpoint. The first album was essentially sort of just recordings that I was sort of testing out my ability to record and sort of also exploring songwriting, and because I hadn't really picked up the guitar since high school, and I was, at the end of college, I was working at a documentary film company. And I had learned at that company how to use Pro Tools. I guess I just sort of felt this weird urge to sort of start making songs. And I think once I saw the visual component of Pro Tools and being able to like look at it and divide it and manipulate it in a way that was, in my head, seemed much more manageable than a 4-track, which was more abstract because it was harder to sort of pinpoint down what you'd done. And it definitely had a lot more constraints. And so I just sort of started recording again, and that was sort of what the first album came with. And then I met Christopher Bear, the drummer, through a friend, and he did one song on the first album with me and did a few production things because my recording abilities were also pretty shabby. But it wasn't until our old former label that put out that album wanted us to start playing shows that the other guys came in to play, because it was so textured and layered, and it was, one, I never wanted to be a solo person because I just would feel really uncomfortable on stage. Just, also, I'm not that good at guitar, so that would be another problem. And I think we knew that we needed more than just the two of us to do that. We recorded Yellow House in a yellow house, which is actually the house that I grew up in the Boston area. We just knew, one, that we couldn't really afford a studio, and two, that we felt more comfortable in sort of our own environment recording anyway, without like a sort of, time clock checking in, checking out, and, sort of sterile studio environment. Actually, Yellow House is not a thematic album at all, especially in comparison to Horn of Plenty, the first one. Mostly because the songs on Yellow House came from such different places and times. In fact, we were really worried that it wasn't going to be very cohesive, because some of the songs Dan had written beforehand, some of them I had written, some of them we wrote together, and they came from 2 years previous to 2 months previous. But I think it was sort of the process of recording in the house and that sort of brought everything together, especially with Chris Taylor's sort of production aesthetic. Our live performance is fairly different actually from the album, because we faced the problem of trying to perform like a super textured, layered album as a 4-piece, and we don't have the money to hire a choir, strings, or all these things that we have put in the album. We sometimes will rearrange the song and put new arrangements over it, and sort of outfit it in a way that will suit us in a live setting. But I mean, Chris Taylor plays a clarinet and flute and uses a lot of effects pedals, so in looping those and doing those lives, you can sort of recreate a lot of the textures. And Chris Bear uses the pedals on his drums, so he can make like the drums sort of billow in certain ways and build. For us, it's really fun, and I think people enjoy seeing something different than the album.
I've lost my head in my wandering.
guitar lessons in high school, and it's funny because my bandmates they went to school for music and have a much more sort of theoretical background with it, and can, you play a note, they instantly know what it is, and they can transcribe and do all sorts of stuff like that. So it's great because I think when we're writing together, it's like sometimes they can get really heady and technical, and I just am sort of a little bit more naive, and I don't know, it's just my intuition with just like hearing a vocal thing or whatever, and I don't really know what I'm talking about, but they sort of like that. I think we're still trying to figure out what our creative process is as a group. Ultimately, I think it involves everyone being alone for periods of time. I think it's difficult for us to just get in a room and then, just suddenly be like, okay, let's write as the four of us. It's difficult, and I think everyone needs time to sort of process their own ideas individually and then bring them to the table and meld them with others. And I know I need to like have at least a few months to just sort of decompress from touring and all that other stuff, and to get into the mindset of writing, because I can't just, it's not like something I just turn on. It's not prolific like that. It takes time to figure it out the way I like it. At the moment, I don't think we don't have enough new material to do a new album, but we've been asked to contribute songs to a lot of compilations. Tom Lab is putting together a David Shrigley compilation of sorts, where he had this piece of art that is in the shape of a book that's the size of vinyl, and it has like song lyrics but no music in it. It's just a book. So they've contacted a bunch of different artists like Deerhoof and TV on the Radio and stuff like that to take one of the song lyrics and put a song to it. So at the moment I'm working on that.